stop whatever you are doing right now, because something just happened in India that has not happened since this country was born. Today, the 4th of May, 2026, as votes are being counted across West Bengal, the Bharatiya Janata Party has crossed the majority mark, leading in approximately 195 seats out of 294. And if these numbers hold, it will mean one thing that no Indian alive has ever seen in their lifetime. BJP will govern West Bengal for the first time ever since independence. Not since 1947, when India drew its first breath as a free nation, has the BJP or any predecessor party in its ideological tradition been in power in Bengal. This state, this extraordinary, complicated, passionate, political, literary, revolutionary state that gave India Rabindranath Tagore and Subhas Chandra Bose and the birth of the independence movement. This state that was ruled by the communist left for 34 unbroken years, and then by one woman, Mamata Banerjee, for 15 years more. This state just voted for something entirely different. And whether you support BJP, oppose it, or simply try to understand the world you live in, today is a day you need to understand. Because what just happened in Bengal will reshape Indian politics for decades to come. I am Yogita. This is She Speaks Anyways. And today, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know. The real history, the human truth behind the headlines. Let us begin. Understanding Bengal, the state that was always different. To understand why today is so extraordinary, you first need to understand Bengal. Because Bengal is not just any Indian state. It is the intellectual and cultural heartbeat of India. The state that produced more Nobel Prize winners than most countries. The state where the Indian independence movement was born. The state where the partition of 1947 left a wound so deep, it has shaped the region's politics in ways still felt today. Bengal has always been ideologically left-leaning. It is a state with a long tradition of trade unionism, workers' rights movements, and intellectual socialism. The Bengali middle class, the Bhadralok, has historically identified with progressive, secular left politics. They read Marx alongside Tagore. And so, from 1977 to 2011, 34 unbroken years, Bengal was governed by the Communist Party of India, Marxist, the CPIM, as part of the Left Front. It was the longest uninterrupted run of communist governance ever recorded in a democratic election anywhere in the world. Bengal was a fortress. And the BJP was largely invisible in this state. In 2016, when BJP was already ruling most of northern India, it won just 3 seats in Bengal. 3 out of 294. That is how impenetrable this state was. But Bengal's fortress had a crack. And her name was Mamata Banerjee. Mamata Banerjee, the rise and the cracks. Mamata Banerjee is one of the most extraordinary political figures modern India has produced. And I say that regardless of what you think of her politics. She grew up in poverty in Kolkata. She entered politics as a student leader, was physically attacked multiple times for her activism, survived beatings and death threats, and spent decades in the wilderness of Indian politics before she pulled off one of the most remarkable comebacks in democratic history. In 2011, she led the Trinamool Congress to a landslide victory that ended 34 years of left rule. Something that almost everyone said was impossible. She became the first woman to serve as Chief Minister of West Bengal. She governed from the front, leading padyatras, sleeping in public in protest, eating jhalmuri with ordinary people on street corners. She built a reputation as someone who was of the people for the people. And in 2016 and again in 2021, Bengal rewarded her with massive mandates. In 2021, despite a ferocious campaign by BJP, led personally by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah, Mamata won 215 seats. BJP won 77. It was a humiliation for the National Party, and Mamata became arguably the most powerful opposition leader in India. But power, held for long enough, begins to corrode. And between 2021 and 2026, three things happened that cracked the foundation of Mamata's empire open. The RG car case, the moment that changed everything. In August 2024, a young woman, a trainee doctor at RG Kar Medical College in Kolkata, was found raped and murdered inside the hospital. She had gone on call, she was doing her duty, she was serving the very system she had worked years to join, and she never came home. The case shook India in a way that is difficult to fully describe. Not because violence against women is new in India, it is devastatingly not new, but because of what happened next, because of how the case was handled, because of allegations of tampering with evidence, delays in the investigation, and what many felt was a deep and systemic failure of the institutions that should have protected her. Women across Bengal and across India poured into the streets. The protests were called the Reclaim the Night marches. Women walked through Kolkata at midnight, holding candles, refusing to be invisible, refusing to be silent. It was one of the most powerful images of women's protest that India had seen in years. And in this election, something extraordinary happened in relation to that case. In the Panihati constituency, the BJP fielded Ratna Debnath, the mother of the RG Kar rape and murder victim. And today, she is leading. A mother's grief, a community's rage, translated into a vote. The RG Kar case became a symbol of what Bengal's women felt had gone wrong under 15 years of TMC rule. A symbol of a system that looked the other way. And it mobilized women voters in particular, in numbers that exit polls and political analysts now say were decisive. The issues that decided this election, the single biggest corruption scandal of Mamata's tenure, was the school jobs scam, in which government teaching and non-teaching positions were allegedly sold for money. Millions of young people who had passed official examinations, who had waited years for their results, found that jobs had been given to others who had paid bribes. The courts intervened, arrests were made, and the image of a government that had promised to stand for ordinary people, promising those jobs back, was badly damaged. Young, educated, unemployed Bengalis voted in this election with that injustice still raw. BJP made the infiltration of undocumented migrants from Bangladesh across Bengal's long border a central campaign issue. They connected it to law and order, communal tension, and what they framed as an existential threat to Bengal's demographic and cultural identity. The special intensive revision of electoral rolls, which removed approximately 9 million voters from the list, became deeply controversial. TMC called it disenfranchisement of minorities. BJP called it necessary correction. Whatever the truth, it fired up enormous passions on both sides. Bengal, once India's industrial heartland, has seen decades of industrial decline. The jute mills, the factories, the once thriving manufacturing base. Many collapsed during the left era and did not recover. Young Bengalis are leaving for other states to find work. BJP promised what they called Sonar Bangla, Golden Bengal, a vision of industrial revival, investment, and jobs. For a generation of young voters who had grown up watching opportunity pass their state by, That message landed. The RG car case, as we discussed, crystallized a broader feeling about law and order and the safety of women. BJP positioned itself as the party that would restore order. They promised to reopen scam investigations. They promised accountability. And in a state where 92.93% of voters turned out to cast their ballot, the highest turnout in Bengal's history, with women leading participation, that promise was heard. The numbers. Numbers. What the results actually mean. Let us talk about the numbers because they tell a story no single headline can fully capture. Total seats in West Bengal, 294. Majority needed, 148. As of this morning, BJP is leading in approximately 195 seats. Trinamool Congress is trailing in around 90 to 95. This is not just a win. This is, if the trends hold, a comprehensive mandate. Consider the trajectory. In 2016, BJP won 3 seats in Bengal. 3. In 2021, after a massive national campaign, they won 77. And today, 5 years later, they are on course for 195. That is an increase of 65 times their 2016 count in a single decade. That is not a political wave. That is a tectonic shift. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee herself, who is contesting from her own Bhabanipur constituency, has been leading there, which means she personally may survive the verdict even as her party does not. A bittersweet position for a leader of her stature. She released a video message this morning urging party workers not to be disheartened. "You will win after sunset," she told them. But the numbers tell a different story. BJP leader Suvendu Adhikari, the leader of opposition, who has been one of the faces of BJP's Bengal campaign, is maintaining a strong lead. He declared this morning that the BJP will form the government with more than 180 seats. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to address party workers at BJP headquarters this evening. What happens next? For Bengal and for India. So what does a BJP government in Bengal actually mean? For the state, for the country, for the region, for Bengal. A BJP government in Bengal would be the first non-left, non-TMC government in 50 years. That is a generational shift. In practical terms, it means a closer alignment between the state and the central government. Access to central schemes, faster release of central funds, and an end to what BJP called the double-engine problem in reverse, where Bengal was the only major state working against the national government's grain. For ordinary Bengalis, the question is whether this translates into jobs, safety, and development, or whether it becomes another chapter of political disappointment. For Indian opposition politics, Mamata Banerjee has been the spine of the India bloc, the alliance of opposition parties that sought to challenge BJP nationally. Losing Bengal, her home ground, her fortress, the source of her national credibility, is a blow that goes beyond one state. The oppositionists must now answer a question it has been avoiding. If Mamata cannot hold Bengal, what is the India bloc actually holding? For women, the women of Bengal voted in record numbers today. They voted on safety, on justice, on their daughter's right to walk into a hospital and come home. Whatever government comes next, whoever takes the oath of office in Kolkata, those women will be watching. And after today, they know exactly how powerful their voice is. I want to be honest with you, as I always try to be on this channel. I'm not here to tell you BJP winning Bengal is good or bad. That is for the people of Bengal to decide. And today, they did. What I can tell you is that this moment is historically significant in a way that goes beyond any political party's win or loss. Bengal voted today with a record 92.93% turnout. Nearly 93% of eligible voters went to the booth. In a democracy, that is not apathy. That is engagement. That is people saying, this election matters. My vote matters. I matter. And women, Bengali women, led that participation. They marched in RG car protests. They stood in queues on election day. They put their mark on the ballot. And today, some of them are watching a woman whose daughter was taken from her, leading in her constituency, carrying all of that grief forward into something that cannot be taken back. That is democracy. Painful, complicated, imperfect, and extraordinary democracy. And Bengal, for all its contradictions, just demonstrated it in full. Whatever you think of today's result, I hope you feel informed, I hope you feel engaged, and I hope you remember that the most powerful thing any of us can do in this world is pay attention, ask questions, and refuse to look away. This is She Speaks Anyways. Leave me a comment. I want to know what you think about what just happened in Bengal. Share this video with someone who needs to understand today's history. And I will see you in the next one.